Oh, am I speaking too fast? Hi, everyone. My name is Alyssa. I'm the host for the Your Wish is Your Command Master series. And today we were supposed to listen to audio number one of Your Wish is Your Command. Did you guys get to listen to audio one today? No?
Yeah, I did get to listen to it today. Yes.
You did? Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to be very transparent as well. I got halfway through it and then I wanted to look over my notes because I've listened to Your Wish is Your Command, I don't know, over 20 times already. And I've taken notes and at different times and different points that I've listened to it. And I wanted to see if I've understood anything more than the first time that I've listened. So we could start off today with just any thoughts that come to our mind based on the first audio. And Joy, since you listened to the whole thing today, would you like to start us off?
Sure. Thank you. So I also this is my third time listening to it. And I did go back to consult my notes to see what if anything new was coming up or if I feel the same. Because when I take notes on something, I don't just write down what I hear the speaker saying, or if it's a book, just what the author is saying. But I also take notes on what is coming up for me. Whatever is being said, what is it making me think of? What cognitions and what connections is it allowing me to put together within? So the big things that came up for me, a lot of it was the same. Like who do you listen to? Making sure that you're listening to someone who's been where you are and has gotten to where you like to be. And something that's so interesting about that is um when you learn something, or I rather say when you are exposed to something, right? And for the first time, usually right after that, or soon after that, something happens to quote unquote test your knowledge, or test you to see how you have internalized that or not. So soon after I listened to this for the second time, people came into my life who have experience with academic experience with business, but not they have not necessarily done the things that I desire to do with business. And we're very, very generous with offering help and things. And it's easy to say, oh yeah, I'm gonna take that help because I really I need to know what you know. Like you've gone through these courses that I haven't gone through. But it's like, wait a minute, those courses don't mean as much as someone who's actually been where I've been and now are where I would like to be. So what I wrote down today, after listening, is that the art of teaching and learning from the schooling perspective is all based on theory. And from that perspective, most teachers and professors employed by institutions don't teach what they know through experience as much as they teach what they've proved they memorized through study. And most of that knowledge needs to be vetted by the institutions who are the gatekeepers of true knowledge. So that was my biggest takeaway, one of my biggest takeaways from today's listen.
Thank you so much for sharing. And welcome in, Susan. We just are getting started. Um, I definitely appreciate you jumping straight into the first concept of your which is your command, which is who do you listen to? So before I go into my understanding, because it's very similar, Joy, and I can go on a whole talk for a long time. I want to know, Antoine, do you have anything that you want to add about this first concept of who do you listen to?
Maybe not for the first concept, but About your wishes, your command, I perceive something interesting because since these last weeks, I it seems like I have an easier ability to have cognitions about when I listen to this audio. Because in the past I listened to those audios, I was like, okay, 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 and now I listen to those audios, and it's like, wow, I didn't perceive that in the past, and it's pretty funny to see that. Maybe I become better.
Maybe your teachability index has gone up, right?
Maybe too.
But thank you for sharing. Hi Susan. I want to know, did you get to listen to audio one of Your Wish Is Your Command today? If you, yeah, go ahead.
Hi. Yes. Well, I listened to part of it. I had a really busy day today. I had already pre-planned, so I didn't get to listen to all of it. I've listened to the whole thing like many times over the years. So actually, Your Wish Is Your Command has um, back many several years back um, really uh, changed my life actually. So I was spiraling down, and so I had bought that was many years ago. And I got the Your Wish Is Your Command, and I worked it and worked it and worked it, um, and it changed the trajectory of my life. Kept me from, it brought me, started bringing me back up instead of spiraling down. Okay, there I am. Anyway, so it's a very good, very, very good program.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing. And you look so beautiful today with your blue eyes. Are they blue or green?
I don't know, the
Huh.
hazel, I guess.
Maybe hazel now that you opened them nice and
Yeah.
bright. But hello. Yes, thank you for sharing. I've listened to it many times and it's also helped me out a lot personally, which is why I wanted to host this master series and get people to listen to it and talk about it. So I wanted to touch a little bit more about what Joy shared. It's just how a lot of the times we have people that may come up in our lives that are very well intentioned and they want to help us in different areas that they see we may be seeking for guidance and nurturing in, right? So for me personally, I have been very animate about my health journey. I always talk about how important my health is and how much I love being plant-based. And then there's different people that come into my life and maybe they also are very passionate about their health journey, but they have just taken a different route, and then they'll try and like give me not necessarily advice, but their own 2 cents or their own opinion about how they have, what they have heard about the plant-based lifestyle, but they don't live it themselves, right? And they'll be like, oh, but don't you like have to get protein from animals, or don't you have to do XYZ? And they'll come up with all these different things. And from that understanding of who do you listen to, I'm able to just like look at them, see is what they saying worked for them in their life, and then have my first person perspective of what is working for me in my life and what successes that I have had, and am I getting closer to my dream body and how I want to feel every day. And I'm able to discern what information do I want to take from them, right? So I think this first concept is so powerful, and of course it applies to any area really. So whether how Joy brought up making money, if you're trying to listen to someone who has a business, or if you're trying to listen to someone that maybe wants to be more spiritual. So I go to church, and recently I haven't gone to church for almost a year, and I was very active at one point. I became a partner of the church, and I was going to some of the clubs, some of the youth groups, and then I just stopped going because my schedule did not permit it. And I went back this past weekend, and everyone was saying how much they missed me, and if I was doing okay. But there were some moments in these groups where I would like just express a little bit of my how I thought, and you know, my understanding of who God is and what God is. And you know, they were kind of very quick to say, oh, you should read the Bible more, because you know, a lot of people will come and say God is this and God is that, but that's of the devil, or you know, just automatically talking down on this concept of God, and not just talking down on the concept, but just very quick to disregard anything that doesn't come from the church. And then I went back to that concept of who do you listen to? And I looked at them, and even though I love them, they may love their life, but I know I don't want to be like them. I don't like everything about their life. And I'm able to say, I can respect you, I can love you, and I can, you know, our opinions can differ. We can agree to disagree. But I know not to take your opinion verbatim, because your image of success does not match my image of success. And that just, I love this concept of who do you listen to, because it allows you to like not take things personally, and people only come from, you know, their own perspective of what their experiences are, and they can only share the knowledge that they have. So you can be very careful about what you ask them, right? So that same person, if I ask them, hey, what's your chicken noodle soup recipe, because it's really good and I love it, now I know we can talk about that and I'll take their advice. But if it's something that, you know, they don't necessarily have what I want in that area that I'm asking, then I probably should ask someone else, or just not ask them at all, right? So after I shared um that perspective that I have, does anyone want to add anything else about this concept of who do you listen to, or anything else that came up while I was sharing?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that part about the church, because that also deeply resonates with me and where I am. I've done a lot of religious deprogramming over the past like 10 years, and it's coming up again. Maybe some layers that were still deeply buried up in there and need to be uncovered and released. And so it was just really important to hear you say that, because I didn't even consider it from the perspective of, yes, many of the people that I know from that environment have not gone through what I've gone through, and they're not where I desire to be at all. And so it really is okay for me to stick to my beliefs, to stick to where I know that I'm headed in life. And like you just said, it's okay to maybe ask questions about some things if it aligns, but if it does not align, it's okay for me to seek counsel elsewhere, because even though people may be well-meaning, they can only come from what they know.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Joy. And that quote right there, people can only share what they know, and people only make decisions based off the knowledge they have, has also helped me with passing judgment a lot, because sometimes I'll be like, why would you say that? Why would you think that? And it's like, you don't know what experiences people have, you don't know what knowledge they possess. So you can't judge them for coming up with the opinion that they have, right? And Susan, I saw that you were going to unmute and share something. Go
Oh, I
ahead.
was just, yeah, I was just waiting to, um, yes, I've always believed that, some people, that I listen to, like going to church. I recently lost my two dogs, and so I'm all alone now. And it's, it, it's been a challenging time, going through that loss. At the same time, I am reevaluating who I am, because the last 3 years has been devoted to them in their illnesses and so forth. And so now I'm faced with, okay, now I have to look at myself more than I was before. Not that I didn't look at myself, but so the spiritual center that I was going to, for many years, it served me really well. But then then they introduced politics into it, and eventually it was not for me anymore. So it was time to move on. So now I was searching for another community. something that resonated with me. And so uh, I was invited to a place, and uh, it was very different than anything I've ever experienced before. But I'm the type that I'm not going to make a judgment if it's for me until I've engaged myself to a certain degree. So I engaged myself right off the bat to these certain things that they had available so that I can make a judgment call for myself, because I don't want to like go one time and just, oh no, it's not for me. I want to look at different aspects of what they are offering, and then I could feel in my gut whether it's right for me, like get out of my head, so to speak. So I've been going for 9 weeks now, and I'm still assessing, but there's a lot to it. It's just been like dynamic for me at this point in time. I do know that there is no place perfect, and I'm the type of person that I'm going to take what I like and leave the rest. So because everybody has their own journey, that's their journey. I have my journey. And so something might be said that it really resonates with me, and I take it in. Things that are not said that I don't resonate with, then I don't get mad about it or anything. I just boop, let it go, because it's not me. That doesn't mean I don't want to be there. It just means that I'm going to choose what's for me. And so I'm still assessing it because there's a lot of things that really resonate with me. There's some things I'm unsure of because I'm unsure about a lot of things within myself at this point. Changing my life, seeing what it is that I like like Susan, somebody asked me, what do you love to do? And I can honestly say I don't know. I don't have a clue. And so it's like, okay, I want to get myself out there, put out there. And you know what? I think I want to take some archery lessons, bow and arrows. And let me try it. If I don't like it, then I can leave. I cannot. So it's I'm just looking inside of myself, and of course, with your wishes, your command, and with other tools, and listening to I'm a partner, so all of that is been filling me with, because I know I'm listening to Kevin, and I know that I want to listen to Kevin. That's something that really is, it's everything about it is right for me. Everything
Thank
else in my
you.
life is just a step, a step at a time, just a step
Mhm.
at a time, and an evaluation, a step and evaluation. And when my head starts going with all these things it's saying, I know the head don't always tell you the truth. So it's to stop and look inside and feel what's inside of me, of whether it resonates, because I'm not going to know through my mind. I'm going to know through my gut, in my heart. So that's what I'm in the midst of right now, is just relooking, because I'm not the same person I was a few years ago. You know, you're constantly changing or constantly realizing things. And, with the world the way it is, which is so different than ever before in my life. Um, and the thing is, I'm open minded. I am not one way or this way, but I'm open to look at everything, and to not judge it until I investigate whatever it is. I research. I don't listen to other people. Research. And I lost two very good friends of 10 years this past year, that they decided to end the friendship. And I could feel that I was brokenhearted. But then once that happened, I realized that we were going in two different directions. And so that made it, I understood, and it made it okay. I still needed to grieve, but because I'm human. But at the same time, I realized that, hey, that's what needed to happen. So all these things that need to happen, I believe everything happens for a reason. And it's what do I learn from those things that I hear from people or that I research, and so I can make up my own mind on what resonates with me. And so I never put up a gate in front of me until I've researched it or until I've felt and all of those things to see, if it's for me. If it's not, then I take a different direction. So I'm in the experience field right now, very, very much so. And I want to make and I had a huge birthday. I just experienced this month, which was I made 70 years old. And that was a that was very that was very challenging because I try not to ever use the word hard anymore and watch my words. And so it was a challenging for me to approach that age, losing my dogs, approaching the age. It's just different, all the things at one time. It just told me that I'm on a different path now. And that, okay, what I want to do for the rest of my life, what is important to me, not what other people think should be important, and to just move forward in one step at a time. And it's like, you looking down on one side of the building, you don't know what's around the corner of the building. So it's basically, what Kevin said, you don't know what you don't know. But to be open to what is going to be the surprise. There's going to be something around the corner, and I won't know what it is unless I go to the corner and look around. And so I'm going around corners right now, looking to see what there is that I feel resonates with me. So that's just something about me right now that I'm a place that I'm at.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, Susan. You talked about a lot of different things. Number one, happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, of course. And, the one thing that Kevin shared in February's partner call was about, everything that we experience, and also non-attachment, right? Even though you loved your dogs and you loved your friends, that was just for a moment in time. It was for an experience, right? And even though it may feel like they're no longer with you now, at least you had that experience, right? And so we show gratitude for those experiences. But the entire time you kind of dove deeper into this main concept of who do you listen to? And for my ladies who came in on a little bit after we started, we're still covering this first concept of who do you listen to. And you clearly showed the number one person you listen to is yourself, right? And when you really get into these basic concepts, as you guys listen to the rest of the audios over the next 13 to 14 days, you'll begin to understand how these basic concepts can fit really into any area of your life. And the number one person you always listen to is yourself, because that's the person you live with, that's the person you wake up with, that's the person you go to sleep with, that's the person that's going to be with you from the moment you're born to the moment your spirit is no longer in this physical form. So you always, always, always want to listen to yourself. And even going deeper into that concept is the fact that everything is a mirror, right? So even when people come up to us and they may be telling us certain things at different times in our life, you most likely asked for that experience. Not most likely, when when you go through your wishes, your command, and you get deeper into this training, you realize you're the one always creating the experiences for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, right? You're
Right.
the one asking for all these things and you're receiving the answer. It's just about accepting the responsibility that, hey, I created this, and understanding, why did I create this? What did I want out of this? What did I want to feel? And you touched on that a lot. Like, how am I feeling about what I'm creating, right? The whole entire series is titled Your Wish is Your Command. So
Mhm.
understanding, what am I asking for? And why am I creating this? And I feel like once we're able to really get clear on the answer to those questions, that's when you feel like you're on top, like you're the master, you're in power all the time. So Aku, Dominique, or anybody else in the room, do you guys want to touch more on this first concept of who do you listen to, or anything that came up for you while we were having this conversation?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. I am Aku. Glad to be here. Man, I missed y'all. I have not been on the calls for a minute, but grateful I could make it today. But Susan, thank you so much for your transparency. So I am 35, right? And a mother of four, and a lot of times in life we may feel like, oh, we are not doing enough sometimes, or we are behind, right? So to hear someone, you said what, 76? I don't want to miss it. Was it 76 or
That's
72?
70.
Oh, 70. Okay. Yeah, so to see someone 70 years wise say I'm still figuring it out, I'm like, okay, 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 girl, you got it. You got this. It just uplifted me so much, to know that I'm doing the right thing. I'm always in the right place at the right time, just to hear that from Susan. Um Another thing I wanted to mention, touch on is, you said it, Elisa, is who do you listen to? Is ourselves 24/7. But outside of us, I like to listen to Kevin myself. I listen to Myron Golden, Joe Dispenza, Abraham Hicks. Just people that are going to feed my soul instead of depleting my soul. Because as we know, on a holistic level, food is not just what we are consuming through our mouths, but food is what we are feeding ourselves through our ears, through the music, through the people, environment, so on. So I just wake up every day being very, very, very intentional with even a phone conversation. The people I talk to, like, I don't like complain. Like, I like to go to solution. Complaining won't bring the solution. So if I know that, oh, this person, all they do is complain, a lot of time I just won't pick up your phone call. Right? Because again, that will feed me. So just being intentional and knowing that we are doing the best that we can as humans and what we have at our fingertips.
Thank you for sharing, Aku. And I definitely, love how you added people that you do listen to, because there are people that we can go to and we trust their advice. We they inspire us, right? And they light our fire. And because that's the whole part of being alive, is you get to experience different things and you're allowing yourself to feel different emotions. It's not like you just completely avoid all bad feelings. Sometimes you want to watch a sad movie because it makes you cry. You want to be able to experience things. That's the joy and beauty of being a human being, is experience. And listening to people who light our fire also gives us a increased feeling of possibility, right? Like seeing if they can do it, imagine what I can do if I know what they know. And I think this is like a perfect segue into that next concept of the teachability index. Before we go straight into it, Dominique or anybody have any questions or need clarity on anything about the first concept of who you listen to? Or is everyone feeling good? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Susan, you're good. What about you? And Antoine, how are you? You're good? Yes.
I have a question about listening to ourselves because this is the first person we have to listen.
Yes.
And I want to say, how about when ourselves are faking not very good things, like I want to eat a McDonald's, I want to watch a Netflix, What do we do with that?
Sorry, I had to find my unmute. That's a great question, right? When we're thinking about things that we probably shouldn't do we still listen to ourselves? And the answer is yes. Because if you were to truly listen to yourself, right? Just hear me out really quick. Let's say for some reason I'm over here in my room and I'm like, man, I really want to eat some McDonald's right now. Like, I just need this. It's going to make me feel better and I should get it. If I'm over here thinking that, I'm probably not feeling good, right? I'm probably not feeling good. And I'm telling myself, what's going to make me feel better is this. And let's say I follow through with listening to myself and I go and I get the McDonald's and I eat it. And just because we know, all right, 9 times out of 10, when you eat fast food, you typically don't feel good after. Like maybe you may get that high of like, oh my God, this cheeseburger is like so juicy and greasy and fatty. And yes. But then after you're like, oh, I really shouldn't have done that. And you continue to listen to yourself. But this time you actually listen to yourself. And when you say, I'm never going to eat that again, right? And listening to yourself goes deeper into the understanding of knowing what you're feeling, right? Listening to yourself would have to be, you have to have a dialogue with yourself. You have to have a conversation with yourself. You have to be able to ask yourself, what am I feeling? What am I focusing on? What am I thinking about? Right? And when you ask yourself those questions, it's not you just ask it and forget about it. You have to actually answer them and you have to be real with yourself and confront, what am I thinking about? What am I focusing on? How am I feeling? And then you will be able to conquer anything that you may be battling with. So maybe those people who are craving bad foods, they don't feel good about themselves and there's a deeper reason why, and they should confront that, right? And they should overcome those feelings and try something that will help them feel good. So maybe they tried to eat the McDonald's and they realized, okay, that didn't work. What else can I try that will make me feel better? So does that answer your question, or did it bring up more questions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yes, but finer.
Yeah, that's fine. Your answer is good. Thank you,
Oh,
Alisa.
oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Yeah, I really think that a lot of times we don't trust the answers we give ourselves. And that's why we do look outside of ourselves, right? It's like we constantly are seeking external validation because this is something that we learn to do as young children, right? We look for that. Am I doing the right thing? Do I get the award? Do I get the smiley face, the thumbs up, the star? And when we just seek the validation from ourselves first, we no longer need all these external things to feel good because you're always feeling good now. And I feel like that's a journey everyone is on and everyone has to learn to navigate through. So now, yes, the divine self, Aku wrote in the chat. Go ahead, who's Susan?
Yeah, it's you know, the people that I listen to, of course it's a given. I listen to Kevin is my number one, but also other people. One of the things that I I look at in which he teaches is that what they're saying, or they're living it, or they're just saying it. That's one of the things he brought up. Um, so I'll look at the things that they actually do, and if it matches up with what they say, like if I like what somebody says, but if they're not walking the walk, they're just talking the talk, then there's a disconnect, and so that's not the person that I want to follow or want to listen to, so to speak. And so
Yeah.
the people that I've done research on and I've looked at how they live their life, you know, and and they're living it the same way they're speaking it, and what they're speaking resonates with me, well, then I'm in.
Yeah, that's so true too, because at the end of the day, other people give you inspiration. Like there's so many things that I never knew about until I looked at someone else and I was like, oh wait, you can own a yacht. You can own a private jet. You can travel to a private island and own one. Like, but if I never looked at other people, I would probably never even know those things existed. So it definitely is also important to listen to other people. And like you said, see if what they are saying and what they're sharing really matches what their experience is. And are you experiencing this also by listening to them? Yes. And Aku also wrote, your vibe always finds your tribe, meaning what you put out, you're also going to experience that too. And you're going to attract the people who are going to match what you're asking for, what you are trying to live. So this is why you also got to always listen to yourself, right? So, concept number 2 was the teachability index, which is one of my favorite concepts because it explains your willingness to learn in proportion to your willingness to accept change, which means a lot of different things, including, are you willing to think about things differently than how you've thought about them? Are you willing to feel differently about how you felt about things before? And are you willing to give up or make sacrifices on the things that you love to experience a new life? And are you willing to try new things? So, how would you guys rate your teachability index on an average basis? I would say for me, I'm always somewhere between an 8 and a 10 because I personally really like to try new things, learn new things. But sometimes I feel like I get to a point where I am learning too much and I need to slow down, but I would still like be interested in the same topic I've been learning about, right? So let's say when I first heard Your Wish is Your Command, I listened to it nonstop, nonstop, nonstop. But then for like 2 to 3 months, I didn't listen at all because I was like, okay, I learned all I can, but now I'm gonna practice it. Now I'm going to implement it in my life. So I wasn't continuing to learn. I wasn't continuing to learn about it, but I was actually doing what I learned, and I stopped listening to see if I really got it. And then once I felt like I kind of was no longer aligned with what Your Wish is Your Command had taught me, and I needed to refresh my mind, then I went back up to a 10 and I was like, okay, let me listen again. Let me see if I'm doing it right. And that's pretty much how I feel on a regular basis. So Joy wrote, that's a true generator energy. Isn't that so funny how you picked that up? So, how about anyone else? How do you guys feel you would rate your teachability index on a scale of 1 to 10 or 0 to 10? It may be a 0, you never know. But I think because you guys are all on here, no one is at a 0. Anybody can go next.
Okay, I'll go. Well, sometimes I'm at a 3, and sometimes I'm at an 8, 9. Um, you know, the main thing for me is to be aware of what my teachability index is. To be aware, because and to be aware faster, because I can think that I'm at an 8 and I'm really at a 4 because I want to believe that I'm an 8, but then I look inside of myself and I go, well, okay, the awareness, am I really? It's like, oh no, I have this resistance. And the resistance might be very subtle, but is it resistance? So I might be partially teachable, but the resistance is holding me back from being really teachable. And so important that I become more aware, and that my awareness takes place faster. Like, yeah, I catch myself faster. I look at things. I'm open more often so that I could see those things. So that's what I find at teachability, because it's a, you know, we're, our past gives us so much resistance. We have all this baggage from, and sometimes we don't realize, the baggage is sitting in front of us until our awareness comes up. And so now, I focus a lot on awareness so I can see where I am at the present moment. And hopefully those moments will be more often that I look. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you for sharing. I think Joy wanted to add about what you just shared. Go ahead, Joy.
Yes, absolutely. Because when you were saying about the awareness, because it can vary sometimes, especially if you have been working on a concept in a certain way for so long. Like I shared earlier, I have been, in my own levels of religious deprogramming for 10 years, but some things are coming up again. And if I had been resistant to that, saying, "Oh no, I've already done that. I'm fine with that already," then I am missing out on opportunities to learn more and go deeper. And so, yeah, having the awareness of where resistance can be showing up in ways that we may not realize. It can even sometimes be resistance to receiving help in an area that we might need it. Resistance to partnership, or just resistance to speaking up. Resistance can come up in so many different ways at different levels of whatever we're growing through. So yeah, that deeply resonated with me as well.
Thank you, Joy. Anybody else want to add?
Yeah, man. So on a scale, I was thinking about numbers, and I'm like, man, I don't know what numbers to put to them because I am always learning or teaching. Like that's my life, literally. Always learning or teaching. It's either I'm teaching the kids or in the community, online or on YouTube, in someone's book somewhere. Um, but as Alisa mentioned, I have to also be aware that, oh, I think it was Susan. It's information. It can be overwhelming sometimes, right? Information overload, because as we know, we have been lied to on so many levels. So we are deprogramming just the basic of what to eat, the basic of how to eat and sustain a healthy life. So when we look at all the aspects and everything that we need to deprogram and reprogram, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So I'm always intentional about that, not to be overloaded. Because I know most of you guys here found me on social media, and at some point I became how do you call it? Overwhelmed, right? Overwhelmed teaching. So I had to like step back. So just being mindful of, and also learning systems. We have systems in place to make our lives easier, right? So I'm just utilizing those systems now too and keep learning so I don't burn out.
Thank you, Aku. Go ahead, Antoine.
Yes, excuse me. About teachability index, in my life, I feel like I am doing a lot of sacrifices, and I'm like, why my situation is not getting better? It's like I feel some from time to time, and the question is, what is your teachability index? Yeah, because is if your teachability index is not a 10, well, you are not sacrificing whatever it takes. But I don't know what I can sacrifice. It feels like I am sacrificing all I can, actually. Well, go as far as you can see, and when you get there, you will see further. It's that it's my cognition I got
Thank you, Antoine. I love that quote as well. I typically use it. I was using it last night because I was driving home from a hike, and it's pitch black because there's no street lights. And I was like, wow, you really go as far as you can see, and then you see further with the headlights because it's nothing. It's pitch black, and life really does feel that way sometimes, right? And to tie it back into this concept of teachability index, everyone brought up the feeling of self-awareness, and the main quote that Kevin gives us in this first audio is, if you want things in your life to change, you're going to have to change things in your life, right? And to really understand this quote, the reason why we are all probably here is because we feel like we're at a point in our lives that we still don't feel perfect, right? And we still have things that we want to change and transform, and things that we want to master. And we have to be aware of what are the things we're willing to sacrifice and change. In the beginning of the meeting, Susan spoke about how she lost two friends, and she realized, we're just at different points in our lives, and we're not on the same path. And I know many of us have probably had a very similar situation and experience of, there's relationships that we may have with others that it will no longer work out, simply because we're no longer seeing eye to eye, right? We're no longer feeling the same way. We're no longer putting out the same desires. And now we have to be willing to change our friendships, our relationships, our experiences, because we're trying to get closer to this ideal image that we each have of ourselves, right? And I also want to touch on the fact about, what are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up those relationships that are keeping you at this level? Are you willing to give up those things that you love and are really passionate about right now? Because maybe that one thing that you love is what is stopping you from getting to that quote unquote perfect ideal place that you're striving for, right? Like, let's say Aku brought up the fact of what you eat. Like, we've been programmed to eat a specific way, and a lot of the times we think we're being healthy by drinking supplements and protein powders, until you look at the ingredients and you realize it's a bunch of things that make you unhealthy, right? And for those of you that have followed Kevin for a long time, he always talks about the ingredients in these supplement companies, and how they're really put in there just to make a profit. But we care so much about our health, but are we willing to invest the time and make the sacrifice to do the research, right? Susan also spoke about that earlier. Are you looking into the lifestyle that you want to have? Are you really searching as hard as you can to find the right people to listen to, and to get closer to your dream life? Are you investing enough of your time into creating those perfect scenarios, right? There's so many moving parts with this concept, and I think the number one thing that can help you every single day is just be willing to look from a new perspective. It's a new day, it's a new perspective. I'm reading Psycho-Cybernetics right now. I don't know if you guys have read that book yet, but there's one part of one of the rules about living in day tight compartments. How do you look at your time? Do you live in the past? Do you live in the future? Or do you live in the present? And living in the present will really help you understand your level of teachability. Am I really willing to make a decision based on how I want to feel right now, or how I want to feel 10 years from now? Am I willing to give up this bad habit to create better ones? Am I willing to give up this money to have more money in the future? Am I willing to not, engage in this conversation if I want to have better relationships? And just really being very wise, and listening to our inner selves, our higher selves, of if we're making the right decisions day by day, moment by moment, and choice by choice. So Before we end today's discussion, are there any final thoughts, comments that anybody would like to add into to our meeting today? I'm glad you're experiencing that right now, Joy.
Um, yeah, just know, as far as what you guys were saying, right? Everybody who has elevated in this lifetime, we all have one thing in common, and that one thing is we had to lose, if not all of our friends, most of our friends, right? And that's why they say elevation requires separation. So we have to separate from the old so we can make space for the new. And that's with anything and everything. Like for me, even when it comes to romantic relationships, I look back and I'm like, girl, why did you stay in there for so long? Right? Because I'm like, girl, you have better stuff out here waiting on you. But I was blocking those better things that were waiting for me because what, I wasn't making room, right? So just being aware of that too, of knowing when to let go. Knowing when to let go is crucial for us to elevate and just be better.
Thank you for sharing, Aku. That's really important, right? Know when to let go. Know when to let go. If anybody else wants to add, just go ahead and unmute yourself. I just want to let everyone know I dropped the link to the Telegram channel. Since we're not gonna meet tomorrow, I'll still post a picture in there to talk about audio 2 a little bit in the Telegram, and then our next meeting is gonna be on the Tuesday, same time, same link. So anybody else want to add anything before we head out for today on our first two concepts of who do you listen to and what is your teachability index? Or just anything at all? Like, did you enjoy today's discussion? Yeah, I got a
Oh,
thumbs up.
yeah, I
Go
just
ahead,
want to tell you
Susan.
thank you. I just want to tell you thank you for doing this. I think it's a wonderful thing that you're doing. And I appreciate being invited into it. So I just wanted to say it. And I wanted to say to everybody that it's nice to be in this room with y'all and hear what y'all have to say. Y'all have given some great insights, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you, Susan. That was very kind of you. And I'm glad that you guys all received value from this experience. And this is only the first meeting, the first day. So imagine what we can accomplish in 2 weeks. And I would actually like to give you guys just a little bit of tiny homework, just a little tiny homework, which is to take a moment at any time throughout these next 2 days to just write down some things that you wish for your life, right? What is that ideal scene that we spoke about earlier? What is that perfect for you? What is that thing that you're still trying to get a hold of in your life? Just think about it, write it down, and that could be your point of focus for these next 2 weeks as we go through the material in Your Wish is Your Command. And the power of writing things down, you'll see Kevin talks about this. I'm pretty sure you all know in Your Wish is Your Command, the power of writing things down. White paper, blue pen, and knowing where you're at along that journey, right? So I will also do the same. I won't tell you guys to do anything I won't do, but just write it down, see where you're at now, and then you can see how far you've come within 2 weeks. And guys, I'm telling you, you never know what can happen to you, right? You don't know what's off the radar screen. If you don't get it now, you'll get it soon. But just think about it, write it down, and yeah, put in the work and you'll get the results. So it's
Um,
7:55. Go ahead, Aku.
Alisa, if you don't, so Antoine, when you were mentioning sometimes you want to eat McDonald's, I wanted to just touch base, and I'm gonna turn the camera. I've been moving, making smoothies, so you can see it's about decisions, right? And that's what Alisa had said earlier. So I'm in a hotel right now, and I've been eating out sometimes, right? But today my mind was like, okay, here. I had two decisions, right? I had two decisions to either go out and eat again or go to Walmart and get me a new blender. Like you guys, literally, I just cracked this open and made this juice. And I chose this because what? I chose this because look at the life in this, right? Versus eating McDonald's. So think about the afterward. I know with humans, we get tempted, we get stressed out sometimes, we go through stuff and we want to go back to our old ways, but always think about the aftermath and how DJ is here crushing the smoothie. Like my son, he's 5. He is like, yeah, he's almost done. He's on his cup number 2. So yeah, just wanted to share that and uplift everyone. I'm grateful, always grateful to be in a room with like-minded people.
Thank you for sharing, Akua. I'm so happy you guys are making decisions that align with your higher self and who you want to become, right? Um, Anyone else want to add anything before we head out? And guys, just remember that Telegram channel is open for anything that comes up. So even if you're listening, you're like, oh my God, I need to write this down. Write it in the Telegram channel because you never know who you're gonna impact, whose mind you're gonna unlock just by sharing your own experiences with others. So I definitely encourage you guys to use that. It's free to use Telegram if you're not on it already. Just click on the link and you'll automatically be in there. And also share it with anybody that you meet and you're like, hey, maybe you'll like this. And if they don't, they don't. People will listen to themselves and resonate with and take away with what they like, right? But all right, guys. I'm gonna end the recording now. Thank you guys all